It was supposed to be the happiest night of her life. Natalie Greer, 28, had just married her college sweetheart, Dr. Adrian Vaughn, in a picturesque vineyard ceremony nestled in the Blue Ridge Mountains of Georgia. The setting sun bathed the entire reception in golden light. The band played soft jazz. Wine flowed. Guests laughed. By 10:15 p.m., Natalie had changed out of her flowing satin gown and into a beaded white cocktail dress for the after-party in the adjoining lodge. At 10:22 p.m., she danced with her father. At 10:43 p.m., she was seen heading toward the bridal suite. By 11:00 p.m., she was gone. The first to notice was her maid of honor, Jessica Avery. "I went to bring her shoes back," Jessica said. But the room was empty. The door was ajar. Her veil was on the bed. But she was just gone. No sign of struggle. No sound. No note. No call. Her phone, still in the room. Her bouquet, still fresh on the chair. The lights were off. The fireplace cold. Jessica alerted Adrian. Then the wedding planner. Then the resort staff. By midnight, 70 guests were outside, calling her name in the dark woods. They never found her. The lodge had 5 security cameras. 2 in the hallway leading to the bridal suite. 1 facing the rear entrance. 1 near the parking lot. 1 at the main ballroom entrance. At 10:44 p.m., the hallway camera recorded Natalie approaching her suite. At 10:45 p.m., the footage glitched. 7 seconds of static. At 10:46 p.m., Natalie was gone. No exit. No screen. No one else entered or exited the hallway. It was like she had vanished in air. Adrian Vaughn was devastated. He refused to leave the venue. He slept in the bridal suite, staring at the last photo taken of them dancing beneath the lights. By morning, he was shaking, tearful, confused, begging for answers. "I thought she just needed a break," he told investigators. "Maybe she was overwhelmed." But Natalie wouldn't run. Not without telling me. They had no known issues. No financial stress. No infidelity. They dated 7 years. It didn't make sense. Unless someone had taken her. Detectives combed through every inch of the lodge. No blood. No forced entry. No prints. Natalie's wedding dress was folded neatly in the closet. Her shoes sat at the foot of the bed. A single earring was found in the hallway. But no sign of her. Search dogs picked up a trace near the west fence line, leading toward the woods. But it ended at the edge of a gravel road. Someone had taken her by car. But who? Suspicion, naturally, fell on Adrian. But he was cleared quickly. Multiple guests confirmed his presence at the after-party throughout the night. His fingerprints were only found on surfaces expected of a groom. His alibi during the 7-minute window of Natalie's disappearance was airtight. Then came the second theory. Natalie had cold feet. But her browser history, personal texts, and journal entries all pointed to excitement, not fear. Then the third theory. An inside job. On day 5 of the investigation, one of the overnight security guards, Ethan Mars, didn't show up for questioning. His supervisor checked his locker. Inside, they found a handwritten note. It read, "I don't know what I saw, but it wasn't normal. I didn't speak sooner because I don't think people will believe me. Check the orchard. It's where they took her." Suddenly, everything changed. The orchard sat on the far side of the vineyard, rarely used after sunset. Detectives searched the area with ground-penetrating radar. They found disturbed soil. About 3 feet down, under a patch of moss, they found Natalie's veil. Torn, stained, but not with blood. With wine, red wine, and sleeping agents mixed into the fibers. Toxicology confirmed Natalie had been drugged, and whoever did it wanted it to look clean. Ethan Mars eventually turned himself in. He sat down in a police station and said 5 words. "I saw her leave twice." He went on to explain. "I saw her go into the hallway. I remember. I was on the monitors. She was alone. And then 7 minutes later, I saw her again. But something was off. She looked blank, walked funny, didn't even blink. She passed the hallway again. But she didn't have her earring. I remember because it was my job to note every detail. It's like she was following herself." Further analysis of the surveillance footage revealed something chilling. Natalie had indeed entered the hallway. But the glitch at 10:45 p.m. wasn't just static. It was looped footage, inserted. Meaning, someone had tampered with the security system to make it look like she left. But the real Natalie was likely taken just seconds after stepping into that hallway. Investigators turned to the only people with access to the lodge's security feed. The lead security contractor, Paul Crenshaw. He was hired 3 days before the wedding. Temporary replacement. No prior connection to the venue. But when they dug into his records, he didn't exist. The ID was fake. The contractor license? Forged. And his fingerprints matched a man wanted for assault and attempted kidnapping in Nevada, under the alias Caleb Shaw. Caleb had gone dark 3 years prior. And now, he had taken Natalie Vaughn. Weddings are about promises, vows, trust, commitment. But sometimes, even the most sacred nights become hunting grounds for opportunists who stalk innocence and joy. Natalie didn't disappear because she was naive. She disappeared because someone planned to erase her from her own story, and almost succeeded. The lesson? Even in a room full of love and laughter, evil can wear a badge, smile for the camera, and walk right through the front door. 10 days after her disappearance, Adrian received a package on his doorstep. Inside, her wedding shoes. Cleaned, pressed, laced with a red ribbon, and a USB drive. He played the file. It was silent video footage. Natalie, in a dim room, staring into the camera. She mouthed one phrase. "You weren't supposed to see this." The USB drive held only one file. A single, silent video. 42 seconds long. Natalie Vaughn sat on a wooden chair in a dim, windowless room. Pale. Motionless. Her hair disheveled. Her makeup streaked with dried tears. Behind her, a concrete wall. A broken mirror. She stared into the camera, and slowly mouthed the words. "You weren't supposed to see this." Then the footage glitched, her face distorted for 2 frames. A shadow passed behind her. End of file. Adrian turned the video over to the FBI. He couldn't stop shaking. "She's alive," he whispered. "She's alive." But agents were cautious. The footage had no metadata. The background noise had been scrubbed. There was no time code, no GPS tag, nothing. But one detail stood out. Natalie was wearing a necklace. One Adrian had never seen before. It was made of red thread, looped around a single brass key. A tip from a retired locksmith finally cracked the code. The key was an old-style mail slot key used for vintage Dropbox safes in boutique hotels from the 1950s. Only 6 known places still used that kind of lock. One of them, the Bellevue Inn, a rundown motel outside Asheville, North Carolina. Investigators checked the Dropbox. Inside, a sealed envelope, labeled simply, Room 109, for him. Adrian insisted on going in first. FBI agents allowed it, under supervision. Room 109 hadn't been booked in over 2 years. Dust coated the floor. The furniture was wrapped in plastic. But someone had clearly been there. On the bed sat another USB stick. And a photo. Natalie, tied to a chair, eyes wide, holding a white card that read, "I remember. Do you?" The second video was different. Natalie was in the same room, but this time she was speaking. There was audio. This isn't about a wedding. It was never about love. It's about what Adrian forgot. What he buried. She held up a Polaroid. A child's drawing. A girl. A man. And fire. Tell him, the fire wasn't an accident. He left someone behind. Then she sobbed. They told me I was marrying a lie. End of file. The FBI pressed Adrian. He broke down. I was 17. There was a cabin fire. I was with my foster sister. I panicked. I ran. They said she died. I never talked about it again. What was her name? Wilkes asked. Adrian trembled. Isabelle. Isabelle Crenshaw. Paul Crenshaw, the security contractor with the forged ID, the man who erased the surveillance. He wasn't just anyone. He was Isabelle's older brother. He believed Adrian left his sister to die. Now, he had Natalie. This wasn't just abduction. It was revenge. The security guard who first warned authorities, Ethan Mars, came forward again with new information. He said Crenshaw had mentioned the phrase Red Room Protocol weeks before the wedding. It wasn't a coincidence. Crenshaw had rented out an old furniture warehouse 5 miles outside of Asheville under the business name Red Room Rentals. FBI agents swarmed the warehouse. Inside, they found surveillance monitors, staging props, wedding veil, bouquet replicas, empty shackles, and soundproof walls. But Natalie was gone. Instead, they found a chalkboard with one phrase: pawn moved, queen awaits. And in a box under the desk, a wedding ring, Natalie's, still warm. We trust our beginnings will be safe. That vows are made only in truth. That memories stay buried for a reason. But lies rot at the root of love. And when we don't reckon with our past, it finds new ways to return. Natalie didn't vanish because she was naive. She vanished because someone believed she was the key to breaking the man who betrayed them. The lesson: no vow made in silence survives the sound of truth. And the cost of forgetting is being forced to remember the worst moment of your life. 3 days later, a priest in Charlotte receives a confessional tape. It plays Natalie's voice, trembling. They're making me choose him or the truth. Then the screen glitches. Another face appears. Isabelle Crenshaw, alive. And she says, Adrian, you burned me once. Now I want to see what you do in the dark. Father Elijah Monroe had never received a confessional like this. The unmarked envelope was left on his church doorstep, postmarked from Charlotte. Inside, a USB drive and a single card. No return address. The card simply read, "For the sins buried by fire." He played the footage. Natalie appeared on screen, visibly thinner, pale, and shaking. They want me to break. They think if I confess enough, I'll let go of him. Then she looked straight into the camera. But Adrian never told the whole truth. The screen cut to black. Then a face appeared. Isabelle Crenshaw. Adrian, you left me behind, but I survived. And now I want to know who you really love. Isabelle had vanished in a fire at 15. The same fire Adrian claimed had taken her life. But now she was alive, orchestrating a cruel psychological game. Natalie was the pawn. Isabelle was the queen. Her message was chilling. You don't get to build happiness on someone else's ashes. She wanted retribution, not by killing Adrian, but by making him choose: save Natalie, or save himself. FBI agent Karen Lynn received an anonymous package. Inside, a black and white VHS cassette, labeled "The First Burn." They had to locate a player to view it. The footage was old, grainy. A cabin in flames. Screams. A teenage boy running. Adrian. Behind him, a girl trapped in the window. Isabelle. And someone else. A third figure, hiding in the trees. Filming. This wasn't just Isabelle and Adrian. There was a third person involved in the fire. Someone who had remained hidden. The FBI enhanced the footage. The third figure was male. Teenager. Holding a camcorder. A match came from the database. Elias Monroe, Father Elijah's estranged younger brother. Presumed dead at 17. But his dental records were never confirmed. The case exploded into a manhunt. Elias Monroe had once been a behavioral psychologist before disappearing in 2007. In 2009, a rogue online forum known as the Echo Chamber began circulating confession-based experiments using isolation, mirrors, and stimulus deprivation. The writing style matched Elias's thesis from his abandoned doctoral program. the symbols from the VHS match sigils from that forum. It all pointed to one theory. Elias never died. He built the Echo Protocol. And Isabelle was his final subject. A break came when a former Echo Chamber member anonymously sent coordinates to a remote farmhouse in rural Virginia. FBI agents raided the property. They found the following: Natalie's wedding dress, mirrors angled at a wooden chair, voice recordings of Adrian's therapy sessions, and a journal titled, "The Girl Who Became the Fire." Inside the final page, one love burned her, another love must decide. Natalie's life hung in the balance. At 3:03 a.m., Adrian received a private live stream link. He clicked. Natalie sat in a dim room, visibly exhausted. "They say I'm the last test. That if you tell the truth on camera, I go free." She held up a chess piece, the queen. "But if you lie again, they will burn it all." Behind her, a fire pit, and her wedding video playing on repeat. Pain doesn't disappear when buried. It becomes a story someone else tells. Adrian's failure wasn't that he left Isabelle. It was that he never returned to face what he caused. Now, his past had returned with a choice: truth or ashes. And Natalie? She was never the prize. She was the mirror. The reflection of what happens when justice comes dressed in memory. A package arrives at the FBI lab. Inside, a burned queen chess piece, a torn wedding invitation, and a flash drive with one line of code. Final move, // Bishop unravels. The final game has begun. Adrian sat in a dim FBI safe house, a camera trained on his face. Agents monitored from behind glass. The flash drive had triggered a browser link embedded in a virtual dead drop. Final move, // Bishop unravels. He clicked it. Natalie appeared again. This time, in a wooden chair under harsh fluorescent lights. Her eyes were swollen. Her lips cracked. The chess queen rested on her lap. Isabelle stepped into the frame. "Adrian, time to play. You confess the truth." Natalie walks. "If you don't, the fire starts again." A countdown appeared in the corner. 1500 hours. Adrian breathed heavily. The camera streamed live to the Echo Chamber network. "I was 17. Isabelle and I went to that cabin to run away. She found out I was leaving for college and felt abandoned." He paused. The clock ticked. "We argued. She locked herself inside. I kicked the generator. Sparks flew. The fire started. I ran. I didn't call for help. I left her to burn." Tears streamed down Adrian's face. "I buried it. I built a new life. I never told Natalie. Never told anyone." The screen froze. The countdown stopped. 0:03. Isabelle stood silently. Natalie blinked once. The screen faded to black. FBI agents traced the live stream's bounce patterns to a derelict meatpacking plant outside Lexington. Inside, surveillance monitors. The charred chessboard. And Natalie, alive, chained, but conscious. She was rushed to safety. No sign of Isabelle or Elias Monroe. But someone had left behind a final note. "This isn't the end. It's the reset." The Echo Chamber site went dark 24 hours later. FBI cybercrime confirmed a full wipe initiated by internal users. All files, messages, and locations scrubbed. Only one file remained. A video of Natalie walking out of the warehouse. Caption: "Queen survives." Natalie sat beside Adrian in the hospital garden, her arm in a sling. He was pale, gaunt, but alive. "I don't know if I can forgive you," she said quietly. Adrian nodded. "But you told the truth. That saved us both." She reached into her pocket, pulled out the chess queen, gave it to him. Next time, don't play games with love. Life lesson. The past doesn't vanish when we rewrite it. It waits. And when it returns, it doesn't ask permission to be seen. Adrian learned the cost of silence, of building a future on a foundation of forgotten screams. Natalie was never the sacrifice. She was the mirror. And Isabelle, whether she lived or died, she taught the world this. No fire destroys memory. Only truth can set you free. 1 month later, a letter arrives at Adrian's doorstep. No stamp, just one sentence. The bishop may fall, but the queen always returns. Inside the envelope, a pawn chess piece, its base scorched,